Chapter 3, Cosmic Changes. In continuing our discussion about the integrity of the planet and the animal kingdom, I would like to state the following truth. Every time mankind sees an injustice to Mother Earth and the life forms she supports and does nothing about it, you have added a layer of dysfunctionality to oneness. It makes little difference. To go into greater detail about what some of these injustices have been over time, just imagine that if I were to do so, it would take a person about 5 years to read through the list. Imagine the magnitude of this if this energy were to continue. Therefore, as I stated earlier, cosmic influences, greater dimensional intelligences, are stepping in to help protect Mother Earth and everything she supports. Mankind, humankind, gratefully, is rising to the task. And by now I think the task should be clear in your mind. My hope is that it is. At this point, I would like to focus on some of the proactive ways that mankind will be assisting in the healing of your planet and animal kingdom. Let's examine each hemisphere because that is how I see it. For those who wish to know a bit more about this, the northern and southern hemispheres show completely distinct energy patterns. I wonder how many of you actually know that the northern and southern hemispheres are comprised of, but I will assume that if you do not, you will be motivated to learn more about them. It is my hope that you do. It is my hope as I speak about the global regions of the world, your home, that everyone becomes more familiar with their global home. What I'm asking everyone to do is to lose past their windows and expand their interest and knowledge down the street, into the next country, into the next region, and the next hemisphere. Most assuredly, the cosmic changes which are already affecting your world, your dimension, your galaxy, though not all galaxies, will extend this period. Waves and waves of new knowledge, renewal of plants and animals, besides human genome exploration, are forthcoming, if not already present. Once given, it cannot be taken away. It has already been given in small doses. Doses will continue to increase until near about your time, this time, your world. It is only with appreciation for your entire home that a person truly begins to appreciate the room they are living in. Said another way, this is the time for expanding your thoughts, continuing to open your mind to what is going on in other parts of the world. Let us not lose focus. When I say to expand your heart to what is going on in other parts of the world, the focus is on what you, one person, can do to help determine how Mother Earth will continue to provide a safe and loving home to the plants and animals that dwell within her. In doing with this, your thoughts wrapped around the southern hemisphere, several things will be occurring. The global warming, which many of you are already experiencing, is something that needs immediate attention. This is something that began in the southern hemisphere. Mankind's thoughts should go to influence the energy to stop global warming, and I know this will be done. Do you know that Aboriginal tribes living on Australia have felt the effects of global warming? How do I know this? I see that their food supply has diminished, and the polar caps have diminished in size and strength. However, these are reversible energies if the collective consciousness of the world participates today, and they will. In this regard, I would like to offer the following affirmation, which said globally will affect this consciousness immediately. I make a pledge to do what I can to limit my consumption of fossil fuel. I intend to support ways that will nourish Mother Earth and not drain her. I pledge to support interstellar expansion if that is what is necessary to provide Mother Earth with the support she needs. This may mean if you have a neon sign in your office, no matter where you live in the world, you turn it off and on and substitute a solar-powered one. If this means you recycle water within your home, then do it. The effects in the northern hemisphere of global warming are also being felt and witnessed. Did you know that there are those souls who live in Iceland and Greenland who no longer need the type of clothing they needed before because the temperatures are rising? Now, I have great faith in humankind, and I know that with education, intention, and desire, all things are possible. I hope I'm beginning to instill within each of you desire. Let's examine the Himalayan mountains and the Andes mountains. These areas, too, have begun to feel the effects of what many are calling global warming. I see the scientists throwing their hands up in the air in disgust, in frustration, and sometimes rage, because they cannot get the funding to continue their research in ways in which to reduce ionization, deforestation, and so on. Thankfully, this is temporal energy, so there's hope. Did you know at one time there was a yellow-bellied platypus that lived in the Outer Banks, and they lived in proliferation? Were you aware, dear ones, in Pakistan, that there was a cobra of gigantic size which was prolific? Were you aware in the Peruvian jungle there was a marvelously genetic, unique tsetse fly that was prolific? In the southwestern United States, were you aware that there was a spiny-toed caterpillar which held the DNA capability to cure cancer, but it has vanished? These are just a few of the examples from the animal kingdom that have been removed from your world through mankind's atrocities. The complete list throughout creation, since creation, at this point in time, will vary. These are just a few of the examples from the animal kingdom that have been removed from your world through mankind's atrocities. The complete list throughout creation at this point in time will vary, and perhaps it's a topic for another time. But let us say that the consensus of creation at the time of creation numbers roughly 15 billion. Pause and reflect upon this. When souls ask me, what does this time I'm living in mean? Remember, it does not mean simply one thing, just as the word love doesn't mean one thing. It means in part that there will be an opening for the replenishment of these animal species. This is a huge concept. It means that with the grace of infinite wisdom, that divine intervention will be stepping in to facilitate this, so that you too, John, Sarah, Emmanuel, Francesca, Julio, Sebastian, and Ping, will have an opportunity to become involved. How wonderful this news is, knowing that your thoughts, your actions, along with divine wisdom, are going to replenish your world. Some of the things you can expect to see will be discovery of new species. Let us begin with the animal species. I should say, I suppose, a rediscovery. Because what is going to happen is that scientists are going to rediscover many of the species that were wiped out. What I'm saying is the restoration, the rejuvenation, the restructuring of the global energy in your history is allowing this to happen. In addition, there will be new forms of plants and animal life, brand new, brand new, being discovered in the next 10 years. And like the souls who have entered in with restructured DNA, these new forms of plants and animal life will also have newly restructured DNA. This means the new plants and animals, which will be discovered in all parts of the world, will have a conscious intelligence that matches the conscious intelligence of the crystalline children, the rainbow children, the diamond children, the Aquarian children. What does this mean? It means that many of the newly found plants and animals will be able to function at a higher level. What does this mean, you may ask still? It means, for example, that it will be easier for these new plants and animal species to reproduce. They may be seen as biotic. I would suppose in some ways you could call them biotic. Some will call them biotic. It doesn't really matter what you call them. It simply means that Mother Earth is healing. When these new plants and animal forms are discovered, many of them will hold the keys to the healing of mankind's illnesses. Many of them hold the keys to spinal regeneration, cloning of themselves, so that when there is a bare spot within the land, one new species of trees will procreate so quickly and easily it will fill the land. This type of synchronicity between the plant and animal kingdoms is something being orchestrated and known in my realm as harmonic convergence. What it means to you is that it has as individualized as your thumbprint. It is a very magnificent and blessed event. Sometime, a long time ago, the DNA blueprint for your planet became lost. Maybe you might even say was abducted. With 2012 and the decade following, the abduction will have been completely abolished. So if I've spoken to you already privately, let me say this ties in perfectly to the use of my words in New World Order. Depending upon where you live and what you prescribe to, you may have heard these words, New World Order, from multiple sources. What I've just described is the New World Order. It is the time of the great spiritual awakening, the time of the great consciousness shift. Returning to our previous discussion about land mass and water mass for a moment. With the new species of plants that will be entering in, and have already started to enter in, there are going to be some seismic shifts in the earth to allow these higher frequency plants to take root. It is my hope and desire that every soul will be protected from harm when these seismic shifts occur. Once these new plant species, these new bionics, are rooted in a frequency of seismic eruption, the seismic shifts will diminish greatly. Much of this, as you're reading these words, has already occurred. The same holds true for the integration of the animal world within the great ocean. There will be some activity in both of your hemispheres as the global waters adjust to the higher frequencies. These are temporary and for the most part already subsiding. Within each of these new plant and animal species will be a nugget of molecular encoding that will ensure mankind's sustainability for eons and eons of time. If you can think about this as each new species having a little secret note within them, a very positive secret note, then you will approach understanding of what it is I see. No one in the world, no place in the world will not receive this wisdom. Every continent, every country, both hemispheres of the oceanic, oh gosh, plane will be receiving some form of new life. Jumping forward in time, going past the year 2015. Like I said, I'd like to jump forward. Again, we're on chapter 3 of 2012 and beyond. Because sometimes learning about new concepts is made easier by comparison. Harmonic convergence is an interstellar, interdimensional set of frequencies likened to the new set of frequencies entering your world and accumulating. This too is great news. In and about the year 2015, there will be an explosion of interstellar communication and travel. There is nothing to be fearful of. I am purposefully introducing this to your ears now so that you are not fearful of this. Many other universes exist outside of the ones you know. More global awareness will be centered around this idea. Evidence will be seen and experienced. The fifth dimension is in sharp contrast with the present world dimension being in the fourth. It is a vibration of total love and kindness. You may be asking yourself, will I be on the angelic realm in 2020, 2021, and by 2030? And this I say to you with total love and gratitude, yes, you will be. You have been waiting. Another generation of helper souls, helper children, children with higher vibrations than your own will be introduced. They will be known by several names and perhaps received by no name at all. But understand and find comfort that this process of energetic oneness, this shift in spiritual consciousness, is in a sense ongoing. What a beautiful thing, knowing that these higher frequencies are going to keep coming and coming and coming. There will be a time in the not-so-distant future when many in your world will proclaim their world as nirvana. How will you recognize these children in your time frame? Or they may be your children's children. The interjection humor, I will say that they may be thought of as the Cadillac of Cadillacs. With their arrival will come the second coming of the Master known as Jesus Christ. There are a few more points to consider before leaving this wisdom beyond the year 2012. Item 1. There are many in the political arenas around the world who will be overthrown, either spiritually or realistically, for the truth that they carry simply does not resonate truth any longer. When this occurs in your part of the world, this should be seen as another way in which Mother Earth is healing. I am not asking you to demonstrate, incite, or participate in riots, invite anger, or any other negative emotion when this occurs. I am asking each of you to humbly, gracefully, gently embrace the realization that these changes are necessary and will promote healing. I'm asking for your patience and cooperation as these events are settled into place. Please do not use words like chaos or shambles in your discussion with others. As these changes start occurring, they are simply to be seen as a shift. Think of them more as shifting sands, and you personally will be in a better place, and each of you collectively will be taking an active role in healing your home. Do not allow fear to become part of your vocabulary. In many cases, fear is a vibration which won't be able to take hold. It won't be able to take up residency. I would like to speak for a moment about the air. Because Mother Earth cannot heal, you cannot live, plants and animals cannot flourish without pure, clean air. Air has a consciousness just as everything else has a consciousness. Right now I'm speaking of earthly air. Ask any scientist you know and she will tell you that there are different air qualities in different galaxies. In honoring the air we breathe, I'm taking this moment to educate and proclaim that the air that nourishes you and sustains you will be elevated in consciousness. If I told you your air, your world, in your galaxy actually appears yellow or yellow tinged to me, do you think this is a good thing or a not so good thing? Well, I will suggest to you currently it can be viewed as a not so good thing. However, the pure air will come. It will appear to me again as pureness appears to me, as crystal clear. Crystal as it pertains to crystalline energy. Question. Are the changes already happening? I believe there's no need to live in fear, that the changes will all be good. So we will all trade with each other. Basically, total social restructuring will allow a more caring and loving human race to move in a higher vibrational dimension. The golden age that we have waited over 2,000 years for is happening now. If we embrace it, will we all be fine? Is this correct, Angel? Michael, I suggest to you that it is an age over 2,000 years in the creation, or rather recreation. Changes within the social systems will occur, but crash and collapse are words that I do not honor. Instead, I will say that humankind is going to keep experiencing a revolution. What kind of revolution? A spiritual one of cosmic proportions. Keep loving, keep embracing.